Hello, Valverde family. This is your EL department with some special recommendations. What we want to share with you today is just some tips as we move forward with our families and students in mind. The very first thing that we'd like to recommend to you, and this is all based on many webinars, articles, and just the latest and the greatest information that we've been hearing for the past couple of months. And so, one of the first things that we'd like to share with you is the idea of examining and collecting data. So, picture yourself once you're back in the classroom or through a hybrid model or continuing distance learning. What kind of data could you collect in order to inform yourself and your instructional practices as far as the experience that your students and your families have had via distance learning? And so here's the sample survey, but pretty much these are some things that you may want to really consider as you're moving forward: student participation level during distance learning, device and connectivity reliability at home, and just basic thoughts around distance learning. One of the things that we'd like to definitely do is celebrate the successes and the resiliency that our students and our families have had during this time. And so I'm going to go ahead and click here and just share with you an example of this survey, and you'll be able to make a copy if you like it and make it your own, change it up. But pretty much you would be requesting the students, if they're a student, a parent, a caregiver, anyone who is in charge of the kiddo, and these are the types of questions that you would like to ask them. If they had a working device, internet, that's very important. Their live participation, their classwork participation, and if they were able to submit, how often they were able to submit. And then another great thing to ask them is their current status as far as device and connectivity, and then sharing any thoughts. And then for parents and caregivers, we have the same kind of information, but of course through a parent lens. And so these are just some ideas, again, that you may want to collect information around. If you click here on the bottom, if you click on the bottom link, it'll take you to make a copy of the survey if you're interested in doing something like that as we get back in August. And now I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Tina.
Thank you very much. Okay, so in thinking about moving forward, we really don't know, as Adriana mentioned, what type of situation we're going to be in when we connect with our students next year, whether it's going to be completely online distance learning, or if it's going to be a hybrid model, or if we're going to be in the classroom full time. But when thinking about engagement strategies, we just always want to make sure that our students are always engaged, no matter what the format of learning is. And also to make sure that the expectations remain high. And I know with distance learning, we try to make the access to the information as simple as we possibly can, but we don't want to make our expectations as simple. So we still want to make sure that, you know, we set the bar high, and we scaffold along the way to make sure that we're ensuring that they are meeting that expectation. Another thing to keep in mind is just to make sure that you establish and you think about the classroom expectations and routines for Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. You know, we just don't know what the future holds, and so if we have a plan set in place for all three types of situations we can possibly be confronted with, then we'll be ready to go. We always, again, as mentioned earlier, want to make sure that our directions are as clear and consistent as possible for our students and for our parents and families who are helping our students achieve these goals. Another thing just to keep in mind is that whatever it's going to look like moving forward, we need to make sure that we understand that it's going to be difficult for all to get readjusted to the new learning style, however it may look, because our students haven't been in a whole group class situation live for quite some time. And so we just have to make sure that we're patient with them, and just as much as they're going to have to be patient with us. And now Daniel's going to share some information about optimizing engagement.
Thanks, Tina. Yeah, so we know that students have been out of the classroom for at least 5 months now, and we don't know kind of the context that we'll be returning to. So it's really going to be important that we regularly connect with our students around their feelings and emotions, how they're doing as they get reacclimated to the school routine. Expect difficulties along the way. We're going to need to be flexible. We're going to need to embrace change as we encounter this new context for our teaching. Work from an equity lens, meaning that, of course, like Tina was saying, we set high expectations, but we also need to realize that not every student is ready to jump right back into a full day routine. Not every student is ready to jump back full feet into learning. They might have some social emotional needs that need to be addressed as well. So definitely not lowering the rigor or expectations, but definitely having that compassion for our students that might need a little extra support getting back into the routine. And lastly, make sure that you reflect and prioritize on your instruction. Remember that everyone's going through this together, so don't overwhelm yourself or your students in this process. And more from Adriana.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Tina. So yeah, these are just some thoughts that we'd invite you to reflect around as we keep our families and students in mind as we transition. Thank you.
Thank you.